Yeah, now, stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball Podcast.
Welcome to another edition of the Talking Basketball Podcast. I am Mark.
Hello, I'm Paul.
And we are once again using our northern office for part of this interview.
Yeah. North and south.
North and south, secret location. It's like a nuclear bunker.
Yeah, and Mark, look, I want to start off by saying a huge shout out to everyone listening to this podcast.
Yeah,
you showed me the numbers, and it just blows my mind. I mean, we're pushing 20,000 listeners.
Why are you
in the
listening
last
to us?
30 days.
Why are you listening to us? We don't know. Please email us, and the email is
UK Basketball Podcast at gmail.com. And look,
and tell us why you like us. Tell us why you like listening.
If there's 20,000 people listening,
yep.
Please, in 30 days, can those 20,000 people please email Mark just to wind him up? If he received 20,000 emails, that would be so funny.
I want
annoying.
Yeah, I want emails, but I don't want 20. Wow, look, I would be grateful for any emails, but and ones that are not relating to extending or changing some body part or
CCTV
or basketball
buying a
kit.
kit.
If you are looking for a basketball kit at the moment, like I can put you in contact with people because everyone seems to want to contact the show. I don't know why, but yeah, please get in touch with the show. Use DMs on our Instagram, which is Talking Basketball Podcast. You can find that anywhere, or obviously, like Paul said, a normal email, because we want to hear from you. We want to know if you want to hear different things on the show, if you want different topics, if there's a special topic you want us to talk about, or if you maybe want to come on the show yourself.
Yeah, and also if you can write in there who you want Mark to support once 1,000 messages come in with a single team, that's who you're going to support, Mark.
What? Like, so I'm going to get 1,000 messages saying, Mark, you've got
London
support.
Lions,
Yeah,
you've got to
exactly.
support the London Lions. So yeah, there you go. So please do that.
What?
But 20,000 emails into you would just be so funny. Well, from my perspective anyway.
I don't want to support the London Lions. No offense, London. I just don't want to support you. So
please,
do get 1,000 in.
Email Mark with the word London Lions. Please.
I did say it. I can't retract it. I could delete the episode, but other than that.
You know what? My favorite stat is that in global comedy in the world, our podcast is currently 807, which is mental. Which is mental.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through some of the ones. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, 776 for USA comedy.
Well, you said
there's like 5 million.
A lot of our
podcasts
listening
out there, and
yeah, but a lot of our listeners are from the States, which is interesting as well.
You know, I have a theory on that. I have a theory that because we're called Talking
it is
Basketball Podcast,
the English accents, isn't
they
it?
love it. They listen to us and go, "Wow, we don't sound anything like that. That's exciting."
I was talking to a lady the other day, and she's in her 60s, and she brought up that she was listening to a podcast, and I was like, really? And she went, yeah. She goes, I love the tone of the other chap's voice. I went, oh, his name's Mark, I'll tell him. So she's going to be listening to me tell you what she said. So, yeah, there you go, Mark. She says you've got a lovely tone.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
Yeah, a lovely tone in your voice.
Yeah, I met someone who said the other guy's face doesn't match his voice.
Yeah, I've had that one. But but thank you very much for listening and all the nice things. I've been getting lots of new ads on Instagram, which is cool. Basketball ads.
Have you received
any
more
lots
chicken?
of different university sites and stuff. That's great.
More chicken?
Say again.
Have you had more chicken?
No, I haven't been back to KFC, not yet. So, but you never know. Next time I go down there, I might get some more free chicken.
If you have a product that you wish Paul to sample or endorse, get in touch with on the email UK Basketball Podcast, or of course on Instagram, and Paul will naturally, quite happily, whore himself out for you.
Yeah,
and your products.
No problem with that. But 807 in world comedy. And I don't think we've even ever said a joke. Do you want me to say a joke? first
No.
joke?
If they've seen our face, they probably laughed enough. So
Oh, okay.
go. What's the
Right,
joke? Then?
well-
Is it a basketball joke?
It's not. But it was said to me by the Portsmouth Force mascot.
Okay,
So there it is.
let's have it.
It is kind of, yeah. So, yeah, I might have said this to one. You should just go with it if you've heard it. Why did the chicken cross the road?
To get to KFC.
To see the idiot. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
The chicken.
Oh, no.
There you go. That is from the Portsmouth Force
Wow.
mascot, Blue.
So, Blue is automatically now at least late 50s, early 60s in age, based on
Potentially.
that joke.
No one knows.
That's a
no
dad
one
joke.
knows.
That's a dad
Right.
joke.
Let's crack on with this.
We will.
Let's crack on. Right.
So, BBL. It's
Well, we got BBL and NBA today, Mark.
yeah, we got. Well, I was going to say, let's start off with the BBL. We got really, I won't say quiet week, but there's been some interesting games. But there's only been some weeks. It seems to be you have a few more games going on. There's only 7 games this week, I think.
Yeah. Well, do you want me to go first or are you going first?
Go for it.
Are you going to give me a buzzer or are you going to do that post edit?
Oh, I might do a post edit, but I can hit you one now if I think it's the right one. But how about one?
Yeah, I'll do. That'll do. Right. My first one is a big shout out to the Caledonia Gladiators. Now, I saw this on BBC News, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and I wanted to share it with everyone. And this is where a 10-year-old basketball fan turned up to a Caledonia Gladiator home game, and he was dressed as the head coach, Gareth Murray. So for those of you who haven't seen the head coach of the Gladiators, he's got big beard, tattoos on his arm, and that is how this kid turned up to the game. And I'm just looking at a picture now. I won't say the kid's name because I don't know what the rules are with all that stuff. But he's got this big ginger beard.
I'm looking for the
kit
picture.
on.
Yeah, I've got it now.
He's got these fake tattoo sleeves.
That's good.
And what I really loved about this story is head coach found out about it. He got, I think it was him and his brother or him and his mate to, no, I reckon that's his brother, down, had pictures with some of the players, pictures with the head coach as they're dressed up as the head coach. And also, I just want to say a huge shout out to Gareth Murray, all the Gladiators, whoever came up with this. They've invited that fan to a Gladiator training session and to be part of that training session. So I just saw that story and went, you know what? That is what basketball is all about. Going back to the fans, going back to the roots, going back to foundations. And what a great story. Huge shout out to the Gladiators for that.
Yeah, that was. I looked at the pictures now. I know you said that you had something coming up like that, but yeah, that's a very cool picture. Very, very cool picture.
Because like that kid won't. He will remember that forever. He will remember that forever. That moment and seeing him and stuff like that. I'm not around the buttons today, but Mark, that should be a round of applause. That one, got to be for the Gladiators.
Okay,
that's for you. Gareth Murray.
Nice round of applause. That is very, 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 very cool. And that's how you build a fan, isn't it? Like a proper life, true fan for life.
Yeah. Great story, that is. That's
Absolutely.
my one.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, I'm going to go with something outside the BBL, although it is still connected with Caledonia. That's why I thought I'd bring it up. So, a bit of a sad disappointment, really, that they played away in Poland for the Euro Cup. And they lost that game 93-72. Put my teeth in. So that's a bit of a kicking game wise. And I think I looked at the highlights of the game, and one thing that struck me was that Caledonia are a strong team, and from the games that I've seen play, they do very well. They do very well, as you said, at home. When they're
in the Colosseum.
I
don't know what it's called, but I'm calling it the Colosseum.
But as soon as they've been travelling away, the 2 games that they've travelled away, the last one, if you recall, over in France, had a bit of a hammer in there. And that, I think it was Brittany, around that area. Obviously, again, they've got to Poland, and they've had another 29-point deficit. That's quite a big deficit, sort of game-wise. So I think it's quite interesting because what it's highlighting is the BBL is definitely a step up from our national league, but our homegrown leagues that go from grassroots right up. So there's no question that the BBL is a step up in talent. But when you're seeing now the talent there mixing with the talent in Europe, they're getting some different results. And when we saw the Lions a few weeks ago, when they played away, they got a bit of a whipping as well. They have 1-1, and I think Bristol played away as well, and they've lost in the Euro Cup. But I think it wasn't more just a highlight on that specific game, but the difficulty that some of these UK teams are finding breaking into Europe. It's one thing to qualify. It's another thing to actually be competitive. And I think that's their next hurdle. Now we're in the picks. Now we're talking about 3 or 4 teams that are good enough caliber to be playing out there. Now we just need to sort of start getting results in Europe.
Yeah.
So it is a commiseration that they didn't do that, but I'm sure I think they've got a home game coming up soon, and I want to say that's a revenge game. But the game that they played in France, I believe they're playing that back in the Colosseum, so that'll be quite interesting.
The standard in Europe, Mark, is look, in some of these countries, it is their national sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and I think that's where you're seeing it. You're seeing that step up from, we are professional basketball players. They're like, yes, we are, but we are professionals that live it. And it's not against the players necessarily. It's all of the background. It's all of the stuff, all of the infrastructure, all the things that we've talked about in some of the interviews where people have highlighted, hey,
I do think the BBL players, they live it as well.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I think like the players to players wise, they're there. But the difference is, in Europe, you've got that infrastructure of people having free practice times, or the teams don't have to fight for funding, or people are having to worry about where they're going to get funding or that sort of thing. That's what happens in the UK. In Europe, they're not having those sort of things.
You do wonder if the culture aspect of that has an effect. But there's no way you're going to get that culture in England.
No way. It's the second or third
money's involved
sport now in the UK. Second or third highest sport.
Is it? I thought you said it was 4th last week.
It was 4th, and it keeps growing. Apparently, the numbers keep, I won't say changing, but they keep flipping around. So when they're looking at it now, it's almost the second fastest growing. And
the 4th. Hopefully badminton's gone down. Where's badminton now? I
didn't even bother looking.
Perfect. Well done.
They heard your last one when you suggested that they threw out all the rackets, and that's exactly what they've done.
Good.
We are. If anyone who's listening knows anyone who plays badminton at a very high standard, please get in contact, ukbasketballpodcast@gmail.com, or on our DMs, and I want to set up a game to get Paul to play a game of badminton. I think that would be good for the podcast, and I would love to commentate that and just watch his anger.
Mark, it's not a real sport, and look, if I tried to play it, I reckon I could, get to the Olympics pretty easy.
What?
Easy. You know what? It shouldn't even be an Olympic sport.
Olympics?
Take it out of the Olympics.
You think you can get to the Olympics?
Easy. Racket.
If anyone, for some reason, knows anyone in the GB team, and you know anyone near GB badminton or anything like that, please get in contact. I want to get him to play someone who plays at that level. That's the goal now. That's it. That's anyone listening.
Embarrassing. Embarrassing.
Oh my God.
So what was your point? It was getting killed in Europe.
They got a bit of a kicking in Europe, but it actually just highlighted a bigger thing, really, that when we're watching the BBL, and the standard is, we've been really enjoying it, I think it's fair to say. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but when the standard in BBL is great, but then when you go to Europe,
it's another step.
It's another step. It's
another step up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also I'm trying to say it the right way. I think the budget is probably how I'd phrase it. I don't know the details of the budget, but what they pay in the BBL, I imagine, for those teams is one thing. I'm assuming once you get to the London Lions, it goes up another step. Then when you go to Europe, it definitely goes another step. Like, people 100%. Are getting paid. People are getting paid.
I think the highest in Europe is like 3-4 million. That's the sort of budgets that some people are getting paid. And,
well, don't
and
forget,
not the Turkish and Spanish teams have got a load of money floating around.
And historically, you've had players not want to go to the NBA because they're like, I'm getting well paid here rather than go to the bottom of the ladder in the NBA.
Absolutely. And, you know, we haven't really featured, maybe we'll do some features with people on like Euro Cup in Turkey and obviously the Euro Leagues themselves in Spain, in Italy and Germany, France, and because they're so competitive. But I mean, Paul and I discussed it off air before, and the truth is there's just so much basketball going on. There's so many games. It would actually be really challenging just to keep on top of it. You know, we have
be a
other
full-time
lives
job.
outside of it is a full-time job just to keep on top of that because there's so much basketball going on.
I am happy to do that, but you know, I need a salary.
The statistics involved in looking at all the games, you would actually enjoy.
I'd need a salary.
Yeah, but
to be able to do it.
You'd enjoy that, wouldn't you? That's the sad thing.
I'd love it.
I'd
do it now.
Look at all these field goals. Look at all the. Actually, that's a perfect segue to a comment you made just off air. You got very excited about when we were talking about statistics, and there was a statistic that was on the BBL webpage that no longer seems to be there.
Yes, Mark, and you got to hand it. Like, I think
you're taking.
I want to say
this
was. Well, maybe it's just
you're taking full credit for this, aren't you?
I think it was Elton John. Have you just put a clap in? I can half hear the clap. Did you just put a clap in?
I did.
Okay. I think it was Elton John when someone asked him something. He said, look, whether they write something good or bad in the press, as long as they spell my name right, that's all that matters. Okay. And I think that is so true, even with the BBL.
Who said that? Eldridge Brand.
Elton John. And I think that's true as far as the BBL because you've completely thrown me now. What point was I trying to make?
Oh yeah. They've changed the site.
So it's, I think for good or bad, it doesn't matter if people are saying positive or negative about BBL, as long as they're talking about it, that's all that matters.
Yep.
And one of the things we had a laugh about was how much turnovers are highlighted when you go to the stats. You know,
they really were.
It was like, what is the biggest stat you want to see? Well, we said points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks. They're probably the first five. I'll probably maybe put them in that order.
Yep.
But on the website, it was turnovers was the first thing that came up. And I noticed this had changed on the website. So I mentioned to Mark, hey, they could actually be listening to this show and gone, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Let's get rid of it. So yeah, Mark, I think we should give a big shout out to ourselves. However, if anyone from the BBL is listening to a show, which I don't know if they are, when you go into the actual BBL website and look at the team section,
yes,
when you scroll down, the first thing that comes up is turnovers. So I can see the first thing I see is the highest amount of turnovers. I'm not going to say this poor guy's name and highlight his 38 turnovers. Come on. But it's turnovers, points, rebounds, steals, assists. I wouldn't even put turnovers in there.
No.
I wouldn't even put turnovers in there. Do you need it? Or if you do, I'd have it last.
I would love to see the BBL's audience data. That's what I'd really like to see. Like who is the demographic for the BBL? And that was one of my points for this week. So yeah, we'll get onto that, but I'd love to see the demographic data. So,
well, Mark, look,
go to games.
We could have made a difference there. We could have made a difference for good.
Well, I think we have.
So, are we going to give a clap for us then?
I think we'll have a round of applause.
Yeah,
I think we deserve that. It's sort of half-hearted applause, like, yeah, kind of.
Why are you doing a half-arsed clap?
Well, you know, it's like, thanks, Mum. Thanks for turning up.
Jeez. Right, give me a buzzer, Mark. Not an end buzzer, a starting buzzer.
One of them?
I said not an end buzzer. Down. This is so hard when I'm not there pressing the buttons.
How about that?
Well, okay, that's fine. Let's introduce to all our listeners the BBL trophy. Jeez. Hey, we got the BBL trophy upcoming, Mark.
Upcoming indeed. And as you pointed out off air, not the cup, not to be confused with the cup.
No, so previously you had the BBL Cup, and then that is being replaced with the All-Star Game.
Yep.
And
And
yeah,
now-
so
and
the
now this-
BBL trophy.
Okay.
The BBL trophy is the main trophy, the main cup in English basketball. Now, what happens, I thought I'd just quickly explain this because we did that NBA in-season tournament one, and that seemed to go down quite well. So it is very similar to the, you could say the NBA have not copied it, but it's a similar layout, I guess. So you've got 10 teams in the BBL. They get split into two groups. So in one group, you've got London, Newcastle, Leicester, Manchester and Bristol. And in the other group, you've got Caledonia, Sheffield, Surrey, Cheshire and Plymouth. Now, all of those teams play each other home and away. And then the top two teams go straight to the semi-finals. And this is what I like about it. There is a Final Four weekend. And that's the 27th, 28th of January.
Nice.
So you play your semi-final one day, you got the final the next day. So very, I'd say American college-esque is how I'd probably phrase that. But that is starting soon. The only question I know you're going to ask, because you always throw these under the bus questions. I don't know if these 2 home and 2 away games, if they are actually counts for the league games as well, or that's on top of the cup.
I can answer that.
I don't know that. Oh, can you?
Yes. So
what is it?
The league actually takes a pause between in January. The league pauses. So that was my only information that I knew about it. So I thought they called it the Christmas break. That's what I thought it was, the Christmas break, but it's not. Because they actually have games that are coming up all around the Christmas, like one's on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, etc. They actually stop the season January the 1st or 2nd, and that's when the cup starts. So the cup runs through all of January. The trophy. Stop calling it the cup. It's the trophy. That carries through all in January, and that's when they're having their break, effectively. So there's no championship games are played during that point. And then when you get to the end of it, it resumes again in February.
So that is definitely more the traditional, I say British or European Cup kind of competition.
Yes.
It's separate to the league. Yeah. Okay.
I'm interested with the timing. I think it's an interesting timing doing it in January, because you think the All-Star game, you have March Madness, you have all those things going on in April sort of time, and then you have the playoffs afterwards. But where this is in January, this is going to clash quite heavily towards the rounding up of the NFL season. So because
they're getting the cup out the way, aren't they? And that's what it feels like the NBA are doing. They're getting the cup out the way in January, and then they're focusing on the thing. So there's some correlations there between what the NBA are doing for the first time and the BBL trophy.
Yeah, there's no way that we're going to go head to head with what the NBA were doing. That's for sure.
Yeah. You know what? I have one comment to make about this, and I'm really curious what the outside world thinks of this. And this is concerning the BBL trophy and the NBA Cup. I don't want to say in-season tournament. I hate that. I think that phrase sucks balls. It should be called the NBA Cup. Anyway, I would love to say, a bit like the English football FA Cup, would it be a good idea? So let's put it this way. When the FA Cup, you have the first round, and that's when like the non-league teams and the lower divisions start playing. And it's only when you get to the third round is when the Premier clubs come in. Yeah, that's what the FA Cup is like in English football.
Okay.
However, what some people aren't aware of, before that first round, there are like 9 or 12 preliminary rounds where basically anyone in the country who has a football team can attempt to win the FA Cup. So I've played for a Sunday league team, and we entered the FA Cup, and we got to like the 7th round. We got like to the 7th round of the preliminary preliminary rounds, and then you went up against some team you've never heard, and we didn't even touch the ball. And then, as you progress and progress. But that's when you get to this first round, you will get some random teams that you've never heard of before because they've gone through that preliminary stage. Anyway, just want to say this one point. How amazing would it be if that was expanded in the BBL for the BBL trophy or the NBA Cup? So in the BBL trophy, you could get National League teams, so the NBL teams, go in for that and then maybe get in for a preliminary round to then get in one of those groups. And then maybe get 2 teams that could get into those groups. Now, same thing for the NBA. How would it be if you get, I mean, they're going to have to be some significant teams, but is there teams that could go in that? Like,
the way they do that, I guess, in the NBA would be the G League.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, the G League or the D League.
It's the only way you could do it based on the fact of insurance. That would be like anything in life. They insurers kill everything, don't they? But that would be the big one, because it would be, hang on a second, you've got Russell Westbrook on the court. He's got a 35 million a year contract. Like, I don't want some clown going underneath it.
But those clowns don't get to play them because they get knocked out in the first 12 preliminary rounds. You only get like one team usually. Well, you get like maybe 2 teams break into that tournament. We think, oh wow, where they've come from. And it just so happens you have, I mean, I think it's more difficult in the NBA because they're playing
the players
these games as part of the league.
The money's bigger. That's and because the money's bigger, there's more that people could lose. You know, imagine if you're playing that, someone get injured in that, which is seen as a in-season tournament kind of thing. If they get hurt in that, but then they muck up the regular season. Yeah,
but the thing is, look, there's I think this could be done in the BBL trophy.
Yeah,
and the reason I like this is because you have teams like, going back a couple of years, the Solent Kestrels, who were arguably a BBL team. They were good enough, and they were beating BBL. They would have a good run in that trophy.
Yeah, but then it highlights the flaw in the way our thing is set up is that, and I'm sure it's all around the world as well, because I don't know, and if anyone is listening, we've got a lot of listeners in the US and Canada and other places around the world. Let us know what your structures are for the top league. So in America, obviously, in Canada, it'd be the NBA. But what are your leagues like below that? Because there must be some sort of national leagues below that, which the ones that we're talking about, like Portsmouth Force, they're in Division 3 of a national league. But that national league has a ceiling, and that is it. And like the NBA, the BBL is a
pyramid of one.
It's a pyramid of one. It's on its own. It's in isolation. Whereas I don't know if the Euro Cup and those things is slightly different. We'll have to look into that.
I don't know. We'll have to look at that. But just going back to the FA Cup, that is why the FA Cup is so special and it's so cherished in England as a cup competition, because any football team in the country can win it. And some people go, we won the FA Cup this year. Yeah. And so that was a successful season.
But it always gets to a point, I guess, where someone in a lower league, some random team, gets through to one of the preliminaries or one of the filtered rounds, and they get
third round and get a big thing. Yeah. I mean, look, there's teams at the moment like Derby Trailblazers. They are doing well. They've got a good setup. You've got to argue it would be great to see them in the BBL trophy.
That would be really good. Yeah, absolutely.
Like the Kestrels a couple of years ago,
Reading,
they wouldn't lose every game. They gave some teams a run in one of the competitions that they won. So
yeah,
it was just an idea I had. I mean, we're probably waffling on about it too much, but it was just an idea I had, and I thought, I'll throw that in space. You never know.
I think it works. That would work to an advantage as well, because in the UK, football or soccer, some places know it, but everyone in the world knows it's football. That is the number one sport. That's the predominantly played sport, and it's more importantly, it's the sport with the most money. It's the sport with the most backing behind it, the longest history, the easiest access necessarily. So wherever you go, football is it's not the epitome of sport in the UK society, but that's what we're linked to. We're just not very good at it, apparently. But
what are you talking about?
Well, we're not. We don't win anything, do we, in football?
But we're getting in finals and semi-finals, Mark. I would disagree with that.
Are we winning anything? No.
I disagree with that.
I don't remember silver place. I just remember gold.
So you win or you're nothing, basically.
Seconds, first loser. That's all it is.
Wow.
But yeah, exactly. But if you look at all of the funding and all of that, you put all of that together with football, and then when you look where basketball is, it's amazing how popular basketball is because it hasn't had all of those things in place. So if we then flip that to the leagues and how they're structuring it and they're changing some of these structures, if they can adopt some of these football nuances, people would understand it more, which is the point that you're making. Oh, I see, that's like the FA Cup. Bang. I don't like football, I don't follow it, no interest in it, but I understand the structure because it is pretty laid out, it's pretty simple. So why would we do anything different or make it something different?
Yeah, I just love the way that any team can enter the BBL trophy. Look, in almost all circumstances, the cream rises to the top.
Doesn't it? Like Wimbledon? Doesn't Wimbledon and tennis do something similar? Because sometimes you get these random.
Yes, I believe they do, but I don't know the specifics. It has to be like a ranking or something like that.
Yeah. Ranking and
but it's like really, it's a really early ranking system. But again, why not do that with the BBL and with the BBL trophy, and get 2 extra teams going in?
Yep.
Look, they're probably going to end up being a Div 1 team who goes in there from the NBL. But I mean, what a great idea.
Yeah, if you didn't have wild cards, you wouldn't have the NBA playing like we have now. It would just be, there's it, that's it, done.
And look at the media side of that. Let's just say the Solent Kestrels managed to get to a final of the BBL trophy.
Yep.
And they were playing London Lions. With the exception of the London fans, the entire country would be watching to support the Kestrels play, wouldn't they? Because it's
100%.
It's, David versus Goliath.
Yeah, of course you would.
And that is why the whole country, when it comes to the FA Up, comes together to watch these non-league teams take on the huge Premier League juggernauts, because they're like, look, these guys are going away to a changing room that's tiny, to fans that are on the sidelines screaming at them. It's intimidating, and it's like, wow, this is not what they're used to, and that's why you have these upsets happen. But if they could incorporate that into the BBL trophy, I think that'd be great.
That would be nice. Would you, if we're on that subject, would you change the name of the BBL trophy to the BBL Cup? Would you just actually call it that?
I don't think it matters. I mean, you've got history. That's the thing with the BBL trophy. You've got history with that name, and so maybe you can't change it because that, I mean, when I see the name BBL trophy, I think at the moment Caledonia buzzer beater at the end. That shot that guy hit, that's BBL trophy. And because you've had another thing called the BBL Cup, it's like, just keep it like it is. That was a long point in the end.
No, it's good. What does it look like? I've got to look it up right now. I'm just trying to see what it looks like.
The actual trophy itself.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
all right.
Silver.
Yeah. I'd want a little bit more flash than that, but I do like a simple thing. I don't like things that are too crazy, or when they have
so critical.
Yeah, why not?
So critical.
It's not. It's just being diplomatic and giving a different viewpoint.
Right.
I didn't say it.
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment. But yeah. Right. So Mark, give me a buzzer. I've got a game here. Give me a buzzer. There we go. We've got to talk about Newcastle. The Newcastle Eagles finding some form at the moment. So, the most prestigious club in the UK.
Most decorated.
Most decorated. And, they're starting to find their form now. They took on the Plymouth Patriots and, they took them on at Plymouth. So Pat Riots must be upset with this. The legend known as Pat Riots could only watch from the sidelines as the Newcastle Eagles dominated the Patriots 95-68. And, you know, it is good to see that the Eagles are now starting to find their way, especially, I said it before, in the fourth quarter, they seem to be not able to close out in the fourth quarter from what I was seeing in some of the games. So it's good to see that is now changing. And, you know, got to talk about Ricky McGill. Did you see his highlight, his coast-to-coast highlight?
Yeah, that was
great. It reminded me of Chris Paul. Chris Paul-esque is what it reminded me of. So Ricky McGill,
competent on the ball.
Yeah, like complete full handles on that.
Yeah,
but really reminded me of it just looked Chris Paul to me. And Ricky McGill, he gets the ball, he brings it up the court, he does this superb behind the back, immediately into a crossover, another crossover around 3 players, lays it up with his right hand. I mean, what a play that was. It was just, you know, I don't think it would be my favourite of the week, but it was absolutely superb watching it. And he ended the game with 23 points, 9 assists and 5 rebounds. So he was almost 1 assist away from a double-double. But what I liked about this game was, in particular, the Newcastle, Ward Hibbert, he had 20 points. Whitfield, 19 points. And then Green and Neighbour also chipped in with 10 points apiece. So it was a nice spread across with 5 players getting into double digits. So that was good to see. So, yeah, great to see that. And
that's the second win in a row for Newcastle as well, because they won against Manchester Giants earlier in the week.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. They're starting to find their form, I think. Yeah. And I mean, it's probably a good time to bring this up. In our next week's episode, we have got an interview, which is with a guy called Keith White.
We do.
Now, Keith is...
Hang on. And before we do this...
Is that for Keith?
That's for Keith.
Yeah. So we got Keith White. We've actually already interviewed him.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, we've already interviewed him, but we have a backlog of interviews and stuff that sometimes it takes a while for it to come out. But he has got a great story to tell, and I don't want to say the punchline on here because you'll hear his story. But he is the only person to go through something. In the Eagles' nest, but we'll wait till next week for that story to go out. So
for sure,
heart-stopping moment, yeah. So, that's mine. That's my game, Mark. One of my games. So, yeah, that's me. Over to you.
Well, I was going to give a quick rundown after this, just about where everyone's been sitting and what the table's looking like at the moment. But my game that I wanted to talk about this week was there was 2. So the first one was a little bit of a surprise. I'll be perfectly honest. It was Surrey Scorchers playing Bristol Flyers.
Oh, yeah. That was a great game.
Yeah, because the Scorchers won.
That sounds like you're a Scorchers fan, Mark.
Well, I was a little surprised because the Flyers are doing very, very well. And, you know, in terms of sort of the league, the Flyers are 3rd, and they were originally 2nd. Cheshire had a recent win, which has flipped it round. That was an exciting game that Cheshire played, by the way. So then now they're 2nd place and Bristol are 3rd. And when you think 3rd place, they're going to be playing against 9th place. Well, there's almost a foregone conclusion. No, not at all. It was almost the same as when the Patriots played against London Lions. You would have thought it would have gone one way, and it just went a completely different way. Now, I think the shout out really, if you look at Bristol's game, one of the, I won't say obvious things, was that there were a couple of people down, but they were consistent across everyone, scoring sort of 15, 10, 12, 13, 17, around that sort of points.
When you say they were down, they had 9 players in their team.
Yeah.
They had 9 players in their team.
Exactly.
But that could also be a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, anyone who plays basketball, when you've got 12 on the, you know, a 12-man squad, sometimes an 8 or 9-man squad is better.
Yeah. I mean, Cooper just 23 points went off, and Wang, the move that he did, and there was a highlight and a dunk. Go check it out. We can't show you that on being a podcast, but yeah, they absolutely played their socks off. And as much as I won't say I kind of expected Bristol to win, Surrey just led that game, and no, we're going to win. We're going to take this game, and that was superb. So massive congratulations to Surrey.
And you know what, with that game,
that's put them up now. They're now in 8th position. And if you think even just 2 weeks back,
who's gone down? Manchester
Giants have gone down.
Oh no!
So now the table is looking quite tasty, and it's exactly what you said last week. Is that we're going to keep seeing movements. And if I show you now a picture, this is what our table's looking like right now.
Well, whilst you're doing that, can I just say that that move you talked about, I did see that, and that is definitely worth giving a shout out. So it was Andrew Lawrence.
Yes,
he's the one you got to talk about first, because Andrew Lawrence, he actually stole the ball. He stealed the ball, and then for a split second, I thought he went out of bounds. But then he comes flying in, and I think, is it Paddy? I think his first name is Paddy at Wang. He comes flying in, alley-oop, boom, dunk. But those two guys together. I mean, Wang 18 points, 6 assists and 1 steal, and Andrew Lawrence with 14 points, 4 assists and 2 steals.
Yeah, they definitely pushed it. But look, check out you can see the
you've
table
also
right
got to talk about Quinn Cooper. So you have to say 23 points and 3 rebounds for him.
Yeah, I mean,
but it was the 4th quarter.
It sounds silly, but you shouldn't. I won't say not discard that, but you think 23 points. Any person getting over 10, 12 points is seriously contributing to the team.
Yeah, I mean, those 3 guys for me were the standout players. But it was the 4th quarter. It was their outstanding effort in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, there was a big surge,
really
but they
brought that back.
I still think in the first 3 quarters it wasn't. I don't think it was a case that Bristol lost that one. I actually just think Surrey won the game. It wasn't that it was Bristol took the foot off the gas, or they played it wrong, or they did something. I genuinely think that Surrey actually just played better basketball that day.
Yeah,
and that's. And you can see the table right here now to share on my screen. Look, there's 6 teams that have all changed position in the league.
Yeah,
that's one.
London's still at the top. Send them the bloody trophy now. Send them the trophy.
Paul, Pat's at the bottom, Paul.
That is soul destroying. Pat, I'm feeling for you. Pat Wright. If you don't know who Pat Wright is, if you listen to this show, you must know who he is. But Pat Wright is the mascot for the Plymouth City Patriots. Absolute legend. Great mascot.
What do you send commiserations for? If you give someone a trophy at the top, do they get anything at the bottom? Like a little
spoon.
A wooden spoon. Wow.
Yeah, but as soon as it's BBL on the spoon.
Pat Wright is a dog, so wouldn't they give him a wooden bone?
Yeah, they could do that.
But the second game I wanted to talk about was actually, I thought it was the other game changer in the league this week, and that was Cheshire Phoenix and Leicester Riders. Now, Leicester actually looked pretty tasty going into this, and just Cheshire blew it out. They absolutely blew them out. And I know it was 102-96, and you look at the score and think, right, I thought it'd be a bit more than that, but they just controlled that game. They were never going to lose that game at all. And I think, I'm not going to say Cheshire is the dark horse here, but I think we were talking before about could someone catch London. I thought it might have been Bristol, and by their form and way they were playing. But watching Cheshire, I possibly think they're the second strongest team now.
You think they're the dark horse?
Yeah, in the league, it looks like it. I really do. At the moment, they've got 8 wins and 4 losses. And London Lions have got 13 wins and 1 loss. So, yeah, there's like 5 games.
Don't forget, you got the Scots.
Yeah.
Caledonia, they've only got 3 losses.
They got 3 losses and 7 wins. So they are all of these things. The tricky thing sometimes when you look at the table is that you say, exactly as you've highlighted, London Lions have played 14 games. Caledonia have played 10. There's 4 game swing difference there. I mean, if Caledonia say won the next 4 games, they'd be on 11 wins. They'd be second place, and very convincing. So I won't say the table doesn't count, but you can look at it every day. And I would suggest actually the Instagram. If anyone who is following BBL, however you follow it, I definitely recommend their Instagram, because one thing they do really nicely on the British Basketball League is make this table. And it's that little graphic, and it says this is where everyone is this week.
Yeah, that is good. I generally think the Instagram, whoever's doing that, deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, they really have got it right.
It's unique. I like the way they do their highlights. It is very unique to British basketball.
They've made a product.
I like it.
It's a product.
Yeah, it's very good.
They've made it very polished, and they really do a good job. So massive congrats to them. But that is exactly how you want the data, isn't it? Here's how many wins, here's how many losses, and how have they moved in the table? Not just where are they, but have they moved? And that's, I think, that gives you a better, not picture of the league maybe, but it puts a bit more excitement into it, because you go, oh, Bristol have just dropped down and Cheshire have just moved up to second. That's quite interesting. Sheffield Sharks, they've gone up, and Leicester Riders have gone down to 6th. You go, whoa, that's insane, because Leicester are up in sort of 2nd, 3rd place, and then, then 4th, then 5th, now in 6th. It's like, oh, are they going down? Are they having problems there? Surrey are going up to 8th. Manchester Giants are going back down to 9th. Everyone's moving around. It's really, really interesting. So that was my second bit really for this week. Was I was really, really, I enjoyed the games, but they both surprised me. The people that I thought were going to win didn't, and it had a massive effect on the tables. So congrats to all the teams that once they pulled it out the bag this week. But yeah, a lot of movement in the BBL this week. And it might be worth saying just that we have got games coming up this week. So I think we've got some NBA news coming up, Paul.
Yeah, we have. The only thing, and there's one thing, I haven't got anything really to talk about it, but I just got to say, one of the early games, which was, I think it might have been on Sunday, I can't remember, but I got to talk about the Sheffield Sharks and the Surrey Scorchers. Arguably, it's up there for one of my favourites. It was just exciting. It was just an exciting finish watching those. Sharks took the win, 81-78. But yes, again, the Surrey Scorchers, they're all close games. Does
the scoreline, do you think, did it reflect the game?
Yeah, it was just an exciting game. It was just an exciting game.
Other than the blowout games, I don't think the scores in the BBL necessarily reflect how close some of these games are. And that's across the board.
Well, the one thing I feel for the Scorchers is some of their games are really, really close. Yeah. But, I've got to say in that game, Jalen Pipkins, I like him. He's a good player.
Yeah,
I'd really like to see him. I'd like to see him in the All-Star lineup. Also, he did do a great. It might not have been that game. I can't remember, but there's a great highlight of his where he got a steal. Just goes up, dunks. He is a highlight reel. Is Jalen Pipkins. But I just wanted to highlight that game. I've got nothing really to talk about it other than that to say I just found that game really enjoyable. That's great entertainment.
That's what you want, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ultimately, you just want to watch a game and enjoy it, and we can make comments about could they have done this better or that better. But I think actually, the more and more we're commentating about the games, we're just actually enjoying watching a good quality basketball.
Yeah,
and I think all the teams, not just that it's very close, that they're all at such a good standard. And when you see the difference between 2nd and 7th is a few wins. That's you don't get that in the NBA. There's normally a very, very clear these 2 or 3 teams, then maybe another 1 or 2, and then as we know at the bottom in the NBA, you get like 5 or 6 teams scrapping for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's just how it is, but that's not really the case here. There's a couple of there's an obvious standout with the team that we won't mention, they're like the Voldemort of the BBL. Maybe a bit harsh, but
yeah. And then, no, I don't know about they're a great team. I think the only reason you're saying Voldemort is because
people like
you want it to be.
Yeah.
You just want it to be close and entertaining, and at the moment, it feels a bit of a potential blowout. But you don't know. There's a couple of teams who might surprise you. We just have to wait and see.
When London are playing in Europe, we support them. There's no question of that. We want to see.
Hey, what? Don't say we. I'm not being thrown in this.
Well, no, but you want to support your homegrown basketball.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
No. Like I'm supporting them, but like you don't want them to win at all. I just want the league to be entertaining.
Exactly. I'm there with you as well. And at the moment, like you say, is it their fault that they're winning everything? No. But at the same time, it does mean that we're not really interested in first place, which it's sad for them in a way, because it's like, hey, look, we're doing really well, but no one seems to be that bothered. Because all the action's happening down here, and that's like you mentioned before about Formula One. It's the same thing. Someone else is out ahead miles. Okay, no one's going to catch him. All the action is between second and sixth, and that kind of seems the same thing here. So
yeah, but Sheffield Shot's got to say they got a squad of 10. I just noted that because we were talking about someone with 9. They got the last 2 games they play with 10 players.
It's weird.
I don't know if that's their norm, but
how do they get a squad that's so little players? Like you'd expect. I'm curious.
Well, it's not little. I mean, that's a squad of 10 still fairly good, but I'd imagine when you get National League, you're usually, at least 12 deep, plus reserves. But it's just interesting when you get 9. You think, oh, okay, what's going on there? I don't know what it's like in the BBL, but I do remember, and I'm sure it's still a rule in the NBL, which is the tier below it. You used to get fined if you didn't have a certain number of players. And I want to say if you had less than 7 players, you got fined.
Oh, okay, 7
by the league.
So you could have,
from what I remember,
a starting 5 and 2 spare. That's it.
Yeah, no, sorry. I think if you had 7, you got fined. So you needed more than 7. I can't remember. But it was something like that. I wonder if the BBL is saying, look, if you're in the BBL and you got 7, 8 players, you got a challenge there. So anyway, come on, we're waffling. What's going on? What's good. Next?
Well, next up is the just finish up with what's upcoming. Canes, Sheffield Sharks, Leicester Riders. They're playing on the 17th. And then we've got Bristol Flyers and Manchester Giants. They're going to be playing on the 17th as well. So are the Newcastle Eagles versus the Patriots. That game's coming up. Then we go to the 18th with Surrey Scorchers, I believe. Yes, just trying to read my writing. And Bristol Flyers. So that'll be an interesting game because that's almost like the grudge match, but they'll be like, hang on, you just kicked our bums last time, we'll go the other one. So Caledonia, Manchester Giants, London Lions, everyone's got some games coming up. So I don't think there's going to be much movement in the league this week. I think a lot of the games are, say, Cheshire Phoenix versus Surrey. They're far enough apart that there's not going to make too much difference, but there's still going to be some good games to watch. I'm just interested on some of these. Are there any grudge matches that are appearing? And just looking straight down the list, you go, there's a couple, it looks like. I'd say certainly Surrey and Bristol in particular from last week's surprise win, I think, on their part, should we say. So that does us for the BBL. How about the NBA, Paul?
The NBA, Mark, I got a historic fact for you now. And please, can you keep your finger on the round of applause button, because I would just like to say a huge shout out to NBA legend, future Hall of Famer, without a doubt, LeBron James. LeBron James, absolutely living legend. Yeah, he got his 5,000 turnovers. Well done. His 5,000th turnover. He is going up the tables in more than one table mark. He's going up all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I'm trying to look. I'm not going to lie. I'm going straight now, and this is why Jordan's the GOAT. I've immediately gone. Let's look up the stats for Michael Jordan. How many turnovers did Jordan have in his career? How many do you think?
I didn't go this far. I just saw 5,000 turnovers and laughed and went, how many do you think it is? Whoever posted that? I don't know. No idea.
2,924.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How many seasons though? Because LeBron has played. Well, it would still be under. Because LeBron has played more seasons. He's in his 21st season now. Jordan played how
15.
many? He still wouldn't be getting 5,000. So what? Who's got the most turnovers in NBA history? I want to hear that legend's name.
Oh yeah.
Is that a throw? That's a throw under the bus question, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. That's great. NBA turnovers. Who's got the highest?
Like personally, NBA, the one I like is the most fouls in a season. That always makes me laugh when I look at like the NBL or BBL. When you look at the stats, it's like, who had the most fouls all year? And it's like, there you go. What a legend.
Well, here we go. Let's look at all-time leaders. So what do you want to look at? Foul.
No idea. Just what? Who's top?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to look for. Hold on.
It's got to be someone with longevity.
So
if you're looking at over 5,000, aren't you?
So not steals, assists. Have they got a turnover one? Where is it? Oh yeah, turnovers. There it is. Oh, I think LeBron is top of turnovers, isn't he?
Yes. Hey, please tell me he's number one.
I'm looking. So blocks is Hakeem. Let's have a look. Turnovers. Yeah, I think that is him. Yeah, it is. It is him, and it's him by quite a lot.
Who's second?
Karl
By
Malone.
how many?
Karl Malone.
Oh yeah, it was Karl Malone, wasn't it?
Do you know how many Karl's done as well? So this isn't. What's interesting is LeBron surpassed Karl a long time ago.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So Karl Malone's 4,524.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So he's like
Mark,
almost 500 past him. But
LeBron is at the top of
history.
many tables, most points scored and turnovers.
Russell
He is up
Westbrook.
there.
Yeah. Kobe Bryant's up there. 4,000. 4,010 to be exact.
Yeah, I'm just having a bit of fun with this. I just saw that stat. He's gone over 5,000. I thought that's great. Hey, look, he's going to be pushing, I reckon, 40K this season. So as far as points, so you can't knock him too much. But on this point, not that the listeners know, but we have got we've pre-recorded an NBA. Some of the people we've been talking to, especially some of the young kids, they don't know some about these legendary NBA teams.
Yes.
So we did one episode and we spoke about the bad boys, and we went, let's put that out there and see how that goes down.
And that's not Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, for those of you getting confused.
So we we're talking about Detroit, and let's see what those numbers come in as, Mark, because if those numbers are good, let's do a LeBron episode.
Could I? What? I want to do a Seattle one.
You can do a Seattle one, but let's do it. LeBron. You know, we could even ask Ryan Payne to come back. And because he's a huge LeBron fan.
He is a LeBron fan. Someone has to be.
So let's see if that bad boy episode does well.
LeBron
episode.
I had an answer to your question from many episodes ago. As seeing as you said that, you said if Seattle do get an expansion team, would I leave the Mavericks and support Seattle?
Yeah.
Because they are my original team. And I've thought about this, and my answer is no, I would stay with Dallas.
Cuban will be pleased.
Well,
and proud.
He'll send me a message saying, thanks for staying with us, Mavs family. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Got a Dallas top on today, just so you know. But it's because the Seattle is closed now. And when we were talking about last week, when we were talking about how the cups and the trophies and the previous stuff and history, they kind of draw a line in it and they say that's it. Anything moving forward is almost like a new team. And I was thinking about it, and that's what Seattle would be. They would just be a new team.
Mark, you're a disgrace.
Then it's not because they would not.
You're a disgrace. You bring disgrace to the word fan.
No, because they're not allowed to have their championship back.
Really? They're not getting it? That stays with Oakland?
That Oklahoma, yeah. Because that is under, if you look on the records, it says OKC / Seattle Sonics. They've won a championship in 1979. And I think that's wrong because Oklahoma didn't exist. Because
they should give that
because they own
back.
the rights to it. So as it currently stands, Seattle would not have any history. They were effectively a new franchise. And when you look through, I was looking through some of the history things for that episode, and I was just going through my notes afterwards, and it was just showing all of the historic teams where New Orleans have had teams in the past and other people have moved somewhere. And like Katrina, people went and played from New Orleans. They went and played elsewhere because Katrina decimated, obviously, New Orleans and the area. And then when they got team back at some point, that was almost like the precursor to Seattle moving to Oklahoma, because that's where they played in that time. So there's all these things, and people are, LA, the Clippers and Lakers have shared a stadium for decades, haven't they? And then that's all going to be changing with the new center and all of those kind of things. You go, Seattle, the line is drawn. If they're going to be a new team, it's a new team. So I wish them well, but
I don't give a crap what the NBA say. If I was the owner of a new Seattle Supersonics team, I'd be putting a 1979 banner up and saying, screw you, that is going up. You can say it's not official, but that is the banner.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the shame.
And did you say they've got the original banner in the city still?
I believe so, yeah.
Get it up. I'd be straight up, the original banner, and I'd be like, there's our banner in the city. But I wouldn't, I'd be doing that.
Yeah, and you think of all the players that have played, like Ray Allen and Chris Bosh, people like that. They all played. Obviously Durant, probably one of the more, obviously Peyton and Kemp and all the history there. But it's just the history's almost drawn the line and said that's it. The trophy's gone there. So I don't know how that works, but
it is wrong. But thank you for clarifying.
I just want to clarify that
your team.
It will just be the Mavs going forward, because you changed from Boston and moved over to Orlando.
Yeah, I did.
But that was I thought I can't go back because they are not that team. That team and that history and everything that I liked, that's ended. Thanks to a dude who sells coffee beans.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. Anyway, so congratulations, LeBron, on your 5,000 turnovers. Truly the man.
Yeah, all right. I forgot where we even go with this. Yeah, so LeBron, that's where this started from. Yeah.
People will argue that I think Ryan actually brought it up in his thing about LeBron being someone who passes first. But clearly he also turns over as well.
Well, if that Bad Boys episode does well, we'll do a LeBron episode.
So
I'm sure Ryan will come back and do that.
I think the NBA, the only thing we can talk about this week that I wanted to bring up, and you got the same thing, was about the NBA in-season tournament. It's
why did you just say NBA in-season tournament? It's the NBA Cup.
Because I know you hate it.
I actually hate it. NBA in-season tournament. It's like, all right, call it the NBA
it's the
Cup.
NBA in-season tournament. That's the name.
It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. But yeah, you know what? And I got to say, the NBA have done it so well by making these league games NBA Cup games as well. They're effectively making these games double headers.
Do you know? I for the first time, I made a comment on someone's post when they're like, we're supposed to be managing the teams and why they're making them do all this extra stuff. And I actually put, we did a show on this, and it actually isn't. They're just a double bubble thing. We got loads of likes. Yeah. We got loads of likes for that. And these people were like, no, they're not. They're this. You go, people still aren't sure on the rules, which is it's quite funny. But
two guys from England know it.
Yeah.
There you go. Check out the NBA Cup episode.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
But you know what? I got to say, making these games, double-header games, is definitely having effect. It is spicing it up.
Yeah.
We saw there was a handful of incidents that jump out, but I think the
obvious one's Draymond.
with Klay Thompson. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
McDaniels, and if
Thompson,
he does instigate that. Klay Thompson instigates that. If you look at it, I watched it back a couple of times, and Klay Thompson kind of grabs him by the shirt.
He does it
the top, and just does a little shove.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, it's handbags by that point, isn't it? The other guy grabs him and then does it back to him and pulls him. And then Clay's like, whoa, why did you just do that? And then does it back to him.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, who is it? Someone comes flying in and grabs Clay by the neck. And that's when Draymond Green, and I can appreciate that. From a teammate's perspective, he's backing Thompson up.
Yes. But at the same time, I like Draymond. A lot of people have mixed feelings about him. I've always liked him because he's very clearly a passionate guy who leaves it on the court. And he's a little bit tempestuous, but he's a solid player. He's a solid dude to have around. I think he went over the top there. I think he went way too over the top. And as much as I am not Gobert's biggest fan, you don't put your hand around someone's neck. Like, you don't.
No, I agree.
He could easily. I mean, you look at the size of him. I mean, compared to Gobert, Gobert's like 7 foot. He's a tall guy. But when he's got his arm around his neck, it's like his arm's the size of my leg.
Yeah, he's been suspended 5 games now.
Five games, and the other guys have got $25,000 fines for each of them.
Yeah, I thought the guy who came in on Thompson, Draymond took it another notch, but I think something should have happened more to him. But do you know what my favourite thing about that whole incident?
What?
Just go back and look at Steve Kerr's face. Yeah. He's like going, shit, Draymond, don't kill him. Yeah. Don't kill him. He is panicking. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That was my favourite part of it.
Yeah, it's
but yeah.
I read, I can't take this as credit, but I didn't see who it was, but I saw someone wrote down, and he said Steve Kerr looked like someone when like 2 people's dogs are fighting in the park and someone's running over to shouting at their dog saying, put him down, let him go.
Yeah.
It's like, let him go, stop.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, he was.
But he did look like a voice of reason there. He did look like a voice of reason. He came over and you could see he was like, let him go, let him go.
Yeah. Especially as well because no one, if you haven't seen the clip anyway, obviously go look at it, but no one had scored a point at that point. It was literally the game had started. It was just kicking off and it just went.
But that is entertaining.
It is.
That is entertaining. And just going back to the BBL,
yep,
we're now talking about a moment, and it's got media coverage everywhere. Yeah. That like you had the who is it? Anthony Davis. He had a couple of in moments in their game as well, in their cup game.
Anthony Davis one was funny though because the size difference between him and the other dude is very apparent.
Mm.
And I'm not saying I think the other guy milked it. He sort of almost jumped backwards. Remember when we were younger and Mick would train us to be like when you put the hand forward, you go backwards and you take the charge kind of thing on the ground. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you used to do it quite elaborately, like the elaborate scream and flop kind of thing. But the guy kind of did that and then grabbed his head. And you go, if you hadn't have done that, people would believe you. But he was nowhere near your head. He literally made the mistake of putting his arm through and trying to I'm going to strong arm it off you. And you go, you wouldn't take the ball off him. Don't behave yourself. So Davis actually just shoves him in the chest. And that should be penalised. Because you go, you don't put hands on people. And that's the problem. Yeah. That's where you've got to draw a line. You go, you've got to penalise there because you just don't do that. But,
it's showing passion. It's adding to it. And there was a moment.
All on the new courts. And so you've got these bright colours. You've got, so for the media people and all the content people, they must be going, wetting themselves because you've got all of this hype going on. And look at the images that they're getting and all the colours and everything on it. It's not like some boring...
But this is why I think the BBL should highlight that stuff as well, because when there's any kind of incident, it's like camera goes away. But it's confrontation is a part of life. Why not show it in a basketball game?
Well, it's competitive. You're showing competitive spirit. I am competing against you. So if you are unhappy with me competing against you, you're not having some personal grudge match. There's no deep hatred, or it's all on the surface. It's all just, I want to win. And you're just showing passion. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, so that brings me to my second point for the NBA this season.
Oh, hang on. Can I just finish this?
Finish it.
Let me just finish this. This is in the NBA Cup standings. I mean, we're Early days yet. Early days yet. Let me just quickly double check a group. Yeah, so everyone's playing 4 games.
Yes.
So some teams are halfway, other teams are 25% of the way.
Yep.
But at the moment in the East, we got Miami, Indiana, and Boston going through. And Atlanta are the wild card from the East at the moment. But it's, looks like you've got a 1 point difference between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks between who gets that wild card place. So like even point difference comes into this. So then going to the West, you've got the Lakers at the top, Denver, Minnesota Timberwolves all going through at the moment. And the wild card from the West is the Utah Jazz. Yeah. Interestingly enough, all 4 of those teams haven't actually lost a game yet. So
no, they haven't.
That is definitely going to change.
Unlike Dallas, who lost against the Pelicans. Quite spectacular.
No one cares.
Yes, they do.
No one cares.
They do because they completely choked, sucked it out. Luka had a pretty bad game, and they lost like by 20 odd plus, almost 30 points. And that was the problem. It was like as soon as they choke him out, what happened to the team? And you go, there's your weakness. Congratulations. Pelicans just exposed the Mavs for all the teams in the NBA to go, that's how you beat them. Because Luka is one of the greatest players in the NBA at the moment. There's no question. Where's the rest of the team? And you stifle him out. That's it. So that was it. But I've really enjoyed this in-season tournament. Some of the coverage, I'm going to say NBA, some of the coverage was a bit pants because they kept focusing on Wembanyama. And, hey, look, he's now playing against Chet in Oklahoma, and he's 2 tall people playing together, and you go...
But I am hearing rumblings, I'm hearing rumours of discontent in San Antonio Spurs locker room up.
Wow.
I don't know how true that is. But there are rumours.
Look, end of the day, he's clearly a talented guy, but we also know he's really tall. Yeah, we've got it. He's 7'4", 7'5", something like that. Okay, he's tall. We've got the memo. We can see he's very tall. Let's focus on something else like, oh, look how high he can stand and throw it. It's like he can lift a hand up and dunk it. He doesn't even have to jump. So, yeah, of course he's... And I don't know who it was, I don't know what publication, but they wrote something like, look at the air time Wemby's getting or something. I'm not kidding you. You or I could jump higher than what he was. He doesn't have to. He literally was just putting his arms out and dunking it. You go, he's not getting any air time. What are you talking about? So it was really, it's like focus on the basketball. And then you have all of these fights kicking off and people getting really passionate. You get people getting dunked on. I think LeBron slammed someone out as well and was chirping at them because they were getting a little bit lippy. Did you see that? I don't know if you have. It's LeBron throwing someone on the floor. It was on that same game with Davis.
Yeah, but look, it's passion. And
yeah.
Look,
but what was funny is
Lakers are 2-0, so
LeBron
they're doing something right.
If you see the clip back, LeBron actually grabs the guy's shoulders and literally pulls him on the floor. And LeBron's a big dude. There's no way around it. So, he's 6'9", he's built. He's pulled that guy to the floor, and he's turning around going, "Come on, what are you flopping?" It's like,
yeah,
mate, you can even see that you're a big dude. Maybe you don't realize your own strength, but I'm sure you do. You easily just pulled that guy over.
LeBron wants to be the first person to win the NBA Cup.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. There's no. But
I am confident in 50 years' time from now, this is going to be, you're going to be going, oh yeah, the Lakers were the first team to win it. We'll be talking about this.
Oh, is that your prediction
in 50 years' time? You are? No, I'm just saying, in 50 years' time, people will be going, now they were the first winners. So
are you going to do
these guys now? I would say they're in living history. Is how I'd say it. They are living history now, and you can be part of history if you do well in this cup.
Yeah, I think they've absolutely.
There's only one team that can win it first.
Yeah, you just want to have the shot like Caledonia had to win the trophy last year. You want to be taking that shot and hitting that shot to win the very first in-season tournament, don't you?
Yeah.
You want to be that player. I hit the game winner for the very first inaugural, you know. That's you want to be that person, because that's, you know, that this team won it and this person hit the game winner. That's going to be in history. Whoever wins it second, yeah, it'll be a note, but everyone will look at who hit the first. God, that will be exciting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So what's your other point about the NBA?
It was purely that because the season, because it's going in, I think they've actually made this. They've completely made my interest in the NBA fly through the roof. And that's what I was coming to. When the BBL have changed their media and their formats, we've become interested in it, and we like basketball, but we've become interested in it. The NBA, it's fair to say they've been flagging over the last few, you know, doing the All-Star game. No one cares about that. The dunk competition, boring. And then they do things like muck up the scoring, and Dwayne Wade kills Aaron Gordon's stuff and everything. So, you know, I just think the NBA are absolutely smashing out of the park, personally. So, you know, that was my view. But yeah, that was it, really. Dime bar.
Sorry, my laptop is dying, Mark, and I'm trying to turn everything off so it keeps me as much of a battery as possible. That's why I'm turning my camera off.
Okay, no worries.
So it's got as much battery as possible.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, I was just saying.
Yeah, NBA's flying.
NBA's absolutely flying. I think they clearly are also listening to us, because we said do all these things and they've done all these things.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's that. I'm sure it's 100%. That's what it is.
Well, we said they should have something like this even before the podcast came out. We said something like this, and then they've granted it. So,
well, I did have another picture from one of our listeners, which was another kick in the balls. We always like to see a good kick in the balls in England in a basketball game.
I don't want to see it. I don't like them.
I can't get it up. I can't get it up at this moment, but I'll show you. But it is another one. So, is that today's show done, Mark?
So that ends another edition of the Talking Basketball podcast. Thank you very much for listening. If you've listened this far, bless you. It's been a journey, hasn't it?
It's been a long one today.
Wow, that's what she said. But we've had a fantastic time. Thank you very much for listening. As always, go back, check out any of the other episodes if you haven't listened to them already, and please send us emails to ukbasketballpodcast@gmail.com or on our Instagram, Talking Basketball Podcast. I have been Mark.
I have been Paul, and let's see if we get badminton off the Olympic sport status. Let's do it. Banished.